Hello, everyone. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I got a couple of comments. And in some of my consultations, I have got this as a major issue. So, I wanted to make this video on mental health and the connection of moon. Very, very important. So, please pay attention because I'm going to talk about many, many different remedies. And most of my remedies, especially my friends and the people who have consulted me over the years, know that I always focus on remedies which are to do with your karma and things that you can do, things that are in your control. All right. So let's get started. Let's open up your chart. We will look at especially mental health in your charts and maybe in any of your charts that you want to look at. And we will also try to look at some examples to see if you really have mental health issues or it's just something that you imagine and it's not really strong. Okay. So we will first look at from the Vedic astrology point of view. What are the combinations that makes the moon weak? Because moon is one of the main reasons for any of the mental health issues we face. Okay, because it is the karaka or significator of our feelings, our emotions. A lot of astrologers consider moon as the most important planet. I am also one of them. I am someone who believes that you might have Raj Yoga and Dhan Yogas and all of that, all the successful yogas that everyone always asks questions for. But none of these yogas will take any effect if the moon is not very stable. So just because, firstly, let me, so I'm sure some of you are just looking at your chart and looking at, oh my God, my moon is in Scorpio. And we all know that the moon debilitates in Scorpio, so I'm doomed. So it is not like that. Okay. I have seen people with an exalted moon for, let's look at a Scorpio chart. Yeah. So, in the Scorpio chart, we know that the moon exalts in the seventh house. Why? Because the exaltation point of moon is Taurus, right? But if Venus is afflicted, if, for example, if Venus is debilitated and it's sitting with Rahu, okay, these people may have anxiety and overthinking issues. I have seen it in not just one chart, but in multiple charts. All right. And if your moon is debilitated in the first house, and your Mars is very, very strong, you might be absolutely all right. You might have certain issues, but you should be able to overcome those concerns with just a little bit of help. All right. Let's look at for example, let's look at the chart of Michael Jordan. Okay. Now, Michael Jordan has a debilitated moon. Okay. Now, I've seen a couple of astrologers use this chart. I don't know his time of birth, but even if his ascendant is not Cancer, his moon is definitely. I've seen some people using Gemini as his ascendant. I've seen someone using Aries as his ascendant. But with how I have seen Michael Jordan's chart, he is a Cancer ascendant. And if you can see, his first house, Cancer, is debilitated. And then you also see the moon is debilitated. It's causing a very powerful Parivartan Yoga and making it a very, very strong position of Mars and moon. Okay. So first thing is, don't look at your chart and see your moon is afflicted, your moon is weak, moon is in the 8th house or 6th house or 12th house, or moon is sitting in the sign of Scorpio. And it's afflicted, and you've diagnosed yourself with issues, mental issues. All right, don't do that. Do a proper analysis of your chart. Look at the dispositor. If your moon is debilitated in Scorpio and Mars is exalted, you might be able to channelize the moon debilitation into doing great things for your health. You could also be a support system for your other friends and family with a debilitated moon. All right. So we will look at certain placements, and we will also look at certain personality traits uh, where we can figure out that the moon or the mental health of a person could be a concern. And then we will definitely look at the later part of the video, what are those things from your karma point of view that you can do to strengthen the moon. Okay. For that, we need to understand the moon a little bit. All right. So first, we will talk about the element of the moon. The moon's element is water. So pretty much everything in our body, about 70% of our body, we are made of fluids and water, which is why most of our festivals in the Hindus, even Islamic festivals, are all with the positions of the moon, right? Maybe the ancient saints knew the strength and power of the moon, which is why pretty much everything is around the position of the moon, right? So it is not just our mental health. Moon is also the significator of our physical health. One of the most important planet to check for the condition of your physical health. Okay. Any fluid, blood flow, the water retention, kidneys, most of it is controlled by the moon. Okay. The other two planets that control it is Venus and Mercury. Okay. So that is that. Secondly, moon is the significator of our feelings, our emotions, right? So you've heard of some people saying, "Oh, it's the full moon. Don't go out. You will see people going crazy. People going lunatic." The word lunatic comes from the word lunar, which means the moon, right? So we also in some some of our ritual we are supposed to fast on certain days of the moon, right? Fluid intake and all that is controlled during the position of the moon, isn't it? So moon, for these reasons, because it has so much power on us, especially if you live near the ocean, okay, you would definitely understand the power of the moon compared to someone who's in a big city because of their career or because of their children or whatever they are doing there, and they do not get to see when the moon is full. Some people who live in the city sometimes don't even are not even aware. Or is it the new moon, or it's the Shiva moon, or it's the Nag Panchami moon, or it's no moon day, right? They are so busy in their day-to-day lives, they forget to look up at the sky and see the position of the moon. But the people who live near the ocean in a village, fishermen folk, people who are into some kind of business where the sea is involved, I'm sure they are extremely aware of the position of the moon, especially swimmers, sailors. It's very, very important, right? Sometimes fishermen are not advised to go inside when the moon is full because the tides are very high. And sometimes when the tides are very high, you get the best catch for fishermen, right? So it's very interesting how the moon controls so many things in our lives. Okay. So the first thing we will look at in someone's chart, okay, to establish the strength of the moon or the strength of let's talk about mental health first, is if the moon is weak, definitely we will look at the position of the moon, and then obviously we will look at the ascendant lord. If the ascendant lord is also not very well placed and the moon is also weak, all right, we could make sure that this particular chart may have some kind of an emotional or a physical problem, and we need to be very, very careful on how, with our karmas and with our deeds, we can look after the health, the mental health and physical health, because I believe they are both connected with each other. So if the mango tree doesn't give fruit, do we start giving medicine and fertilizer to the fruit? We don't, right? We start working on the roots. Okay. So at times when you have diagnosed yourself, nowadays people diagnose each other very quickly. I have OCD. Why? Because you just like cleaning a little bit. Well, OCD is a disorder. It's a major problem. And people who have been clinically diagnosed with OCD, they know the pains of OCD, right? Just because you like cleaning a little bit, do not read stuff and diagnose yourself with such a severe disorder. All right. So first thing is awareness. Okay. Just because you're reading about certain things, that doesn't mean you have a mental health issue. Okay. You might have traits of it, and it's good to identify if you have traits of a certain kind of a mental health issue, and start making efforts so that you do not lose your track and you're able to enjoy a comfortable, peaceful, and healthy life. All right. So we will obviously look at the dispositor first. All right. Like I said, an exalted moon may give a lot of trouble to people, and a debilitated moon, just because your moon is debilitated, doesn't mean that you will never be happy in your life, right? Because moon is also the significator of your emotions, your happiness. Okay. I see so many charts where we look at Mahadashas and transits from the ascendant, and then we look at them from the moon. All right, where the moon is placed. Unless your moon is in the ascendant, then it's the same thing. If the moon is placed somewhere else, we look at it from different places, and then I ask questions. Okay, and they're like, "Oh, I'm very unhappy, and there's no peace of mind." And then Saturn Mahadasha is going, or Sadesati, the most demonized 7.5 years that a lot of people think. Sadesati, the 7.5 years of Saturn. My Sadesati is going on. And then when I start asking them questions, okay, so what happened in the last 2.5 years, your career wise? And they're saying, oh, career wise, yeah, actually I got a promotion. And then I said, okay, and what about your finances, your investments and stuff? Have they increased? Yes, it's like, yes, it's all increased. But I don't have peace of mind because I can't get sleep at night because I'm thinking so much and I have other problems and issues, right? So at times, mental peace could be at the cost of your career success and financial success, right? I have seen some fantastic results due to Sadesati. People have reached the peak of their professional and career during the Sadesati period, especially if Saturn is very well placed in your chart and it's a benefic, it's a functional, it's a Karak planet, it's a functional benefic planet for you, and it is passing over your moon. Those 7.5 years could be your most benefic period. Same as Rahu, people think it's only Saturn. Rahu also takes a lot of time to pass over the moon. When Rahu is strong in someone's chart and transit Rahu passes over the moon, people can, if they are in the right field, they can reach the peaks of their career. And just the opposite can happen. If the natal Rahu is very weak, Rahu can give sleepless nights during the time Rahu is transiting over your natal moon. All right. So we must analyze these things in our charts in detail. Okay. And we should look at some karmic remedies. All right. On how do we strengthen the moon, especially if you've figured out that moon is afflicted or moon is weak in your chart. So we all know that moon is weak in Scorpio. All right. So in that case, we will look at the strength of Mars. If Mars is also weak, we need to start doing some remedies for Mars and moon. Okay. Which is nothing but the mind and the body. Okay. Mars is the Karaka of the body in most cases. All right. And so is the moon. All right. Rahu, we all know Rahu can cause a lot of stress if Rahu is afflicting the moon. So can Ketu and Saturn. But these are of different kinds. Lots of anger, all these emotional ups and downs. So we first need to understand, not just from the Vedic astrology point of view, but also just diagnosing yourself. Are you an overthinker? Do you have depression? Are you not able to move on from some kind of an incident that has caused trauma? Okay. What are your coping mechanisms? Are your coping mechanisms self-destroying your health? Are your coping mechanism affecting your family and friends? Do you get so angry that you forget who you are and you get violent? This is caused by Mars, or when Mars is afflicting the moon. Okay. So these are questions we must ask each other. Okay. And ourselves first. Okay, especially when you're looking at your charts or your charts of your loved ones, charts of your children, and then we will look at how we can strengthen your moon, because if your moon is not strengthened, you will not be able to enjoy any of your dhan yogas or your success or your raj yogas that you have, right? We know, we've heard of movie stars and celebrities that they have become millionaires, and they have all the love from their family, they have love from the people and their fans, and they have made lots of money, everyone knows them, they're also very attractive people, but they're suffering from depression, right? That's a very that's a very common case of everything going fine from the astrology and your karma points of view. They are hard work. They have hard worked for their career. They have great skills, great talents, but there is absolutely no peace of mind. So how do we strengthen that? Okay, so the first step is awareness. That's number one. Okay. Um, so we will look at certain astrological remedies. Number one is exercise. Very, very powerful, because we remember the example I gave you. When a tree doesn't give fruit, we don't start treating the fruit or the leaves. We usually start from the root. Okay. So if you're not getting sleep, many people that I've helped, they have got back into their sleep cycle after joining a proper exercise routine. Okay, because if you start doing one thing at a certain time in a day, your body gets tired and they're able to get back to their sleep cycle. Okay. Secondly, make sure that if you have temper issues, you are not speaking. Make that a conscious effort, that no matter how angry you are, that time you will not speak, because at that time what we speak to our friends, family, your bosses, your co-workers is usually not very pleasant, right? So if you're aware that, hey, my moon has Mars conjunct and it's not very strong, so why, when you're aware of that, why would you want to confront your manager or your spouse on a full moon night, right? So use the help of astrology, all right, and make the right decision. Understanding our flaws is very important. Okay, so getting counseling in terms of meditation. Learn how to meditate. It's very important. Gaining control on the mind. If half the world's population started meditating effectively, I'm not saying you meditate once in a month. No, that's not really called meditation. Okay. Proper meditation, conscious, every day, for as long as you can meditate. Your work, anything is not more important if your mental health is not in place. Okay. So exercise number one, meditation, and then giving positive reinforcements to the mind, your emotions. It's easier to stop talking physically, but meditation will help you stop overthinking and talking to yourself about unnecessary things that bother you, thinking about things that haven't happened yet, and that is giving you trouble. Thinking about things that have happened in the past to you or you have done, guilt, overthinking about those things. So awareness, and then actively working on these things to do with your mental health, strengthening the moon, understanding that just because from the Vedic astrology point of view your moon is weak, you will not let that take a toll on you, and you will balance that with other karma. For example, if Michael Jordan with a debilitated moon was not into such physical activity and competitive sports, he might have had a lot of trouble channelizing that Mars debilitated energy and the moon debilitated energy. So there is always a way to channelize it, which you must figure out. For people who have Pisces moon are also, if Jupiter is not very well placed, Pisces moon can be extremely, um, what is the word? Like when you've seen the fish in an aquarium, they are never able to, they're usually going, they're always pacing around. Chanchal man, a very impatient mind is seen with Pisces moon if Jupiter is not well placed, and if the moon is getting aspect from Mars, especially if it's in the sixth house, even if it's getting aspect from Mercury. So swimming, long-term physical activity. If Mars is involved with the moon, get into some kind of a sports activity. Channelize the Mars aggression of winning. Okay? I'm not talking about sitting on your PlayStation or gaming on a gaming console, but play badminton, play some kind of a sports where teamwork is involved, and you'll see Mars does great with teamwork. So that needs to be channeled. The moment that is channelized, you will see fantastic results. You will see 180-degree turn in how your mental health and your life is going. All right. People with of moon being afflicted by Saturn, you must practice meditation and long-term planning, because you see moon is such a fast mover. Moon does the 27 nakshatras in under a month. Saturn takes about 30 years to do it. So patience. Saturn is extremely slow in patience, and when you see Saturn and Moon conjunct, if these people don't channelize on being very organized, structured, and they keep procrastinating things, things don't really work out, and then you come to an astrologer and say, I have so many Raj Yogas, and they are not working out. When will my Raj Yoga be active, right? So a lot of remedies are in your hand, and moon is very, very important. It's the way you think. It's your feelings. A certain Mahadasha could be extremely good for your body and your career, but you may not feel happy about it because you don't even see that it's doing good for you. Okay? So once again, understand your moon very, very properly. Look at the position of the moon. Look at the dispositor. Look at the strength in D9. See which nakshatra the moon is sitting in, and that nakshatra lord will also have a very, very strong impact on you. Moon in Gemini, I've seen lots of Gemini moons always being very, very distracted easily, not able to focus. If you have children with moon in Gemini, don't be surprised if their attention span is very low. Don't be harsh on them. If you've read their charts, Gemini moon, and especially if Mercury is not very well placed, they will always have problems focusing. They'll be thinking about all kinds of things. So we must understand the position of the moon and try to help ourselves in the most appropriate way. Instead of diagnosing ourselves that, okay, we have this and we have that. And if need be, if nothing works out, there are professional psychiatrists that can get professional help if you have to. But before that, have you tried everything to control the mind? Because if the mind is happy, see, a lot of books I have read, and people have told me that the suffering is not really real. We suffer only in our minds. A fisherman who just fishes gets one catch and feeds his entire family is at times happier than the billionaires in crypto, right? So happiness is what we make of our current state of affairs. Your chart could be anything, but if your mind is not able to see and feel the peace and happiness, then all the Raj Yogas and all the Dhan Yogas are not really worth it, right? We will also try to understand the difference between Mercury, because a lot of people confuse Mercury is more to do with neurological issues like proper nervous problems. Okay. For example, psychosis or schizophrenia is not really a Mercury related problem. It is to do with the moon. Depression is to do with the moon. OCD, PTSD is to do with the moon. This is not to do with the Mercury. Mercury will have issues with your nervous system or your brain, right? If you look at with today's scientific technology, if you look at the brain of someone who's got a problem with Mercury, will be different from the brain of a person who doesn't have a problem with Mercury. All right. But if someone has got depression, maybe scanning through the brains of a normal person who doesn't have depression, and someone who has depression may look the same. The only way to take their word for it is when they say that, hey, I have depression, I'm having trouble getting over a certain loss in life. Okay. The question is, how do we recover it? What are your coping mechanisms? Are your coping mechanisms doing you more harm? Or are you doing some coping mechanism that has been advised by an expert? Are you getting the right help? Are you hanging out with the right people? You've had a loss in your life, and then you're hanging out with friends and company who are getting you more intoxicated. And then the moon is getting more and more weaker then, because at that point of time you feel good. Oh, great, we are having a great time. Let's do this, let's do that. But once they are gone, it comes back really hard. So again, look for long-term, we must look for long-term mental health care instead of just a quick fix of, okay, I'll just go here, I'll go there, I'll go for a drink with my friends, and then I'll forget about it. Then it becomes a habit. Alcohol usually doesn't do much good for the mind, right? Or any other substance that can make you feel good at that point of time. But when it goes away, the effect is very, very strong. Okay. So, couple of things that you must do to fix the moon is find out first from your Vedic chart, which is the dispositor. Okay. If the dispositor is weak, work towards that. Okay. Awareness is the key. Try to have a very healthy lifestyle. Okay. Eat really well. Good. Look after yourself. Exercise. Join the gym. Because again, sometimes we try to fix the mind, but if we fix the body, the mind feels good. The mind releases hormones which are good for the body, and vice versa. Okay. Be around people who genuinely care for you. Avoid bad company. Focus on the long-term pictures. Refocus yourself on the goals that you have. If you have children and family that depend on you, make them your priority and refocus. And you will see that you will find the way forward to look after yourself. So this is what I wanted to tell you, because I got a couple of questions on mental health, and moon is very, very important for mental health. And as a case study, the viewers, you must type on comments if you see any difference in people on a full moon night and on a no moon night, Amavasya. It's very interesting. A lot of festivals are on the full moon night, and some of the biggest ones are on no moon nights, and then some in West Bengal especially are with the different positions of the night, the moon, like the 7th day of the moon, the 8th day of the moon, 9th day of the moon, 4th day of the moon, different days of the moon of Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha, right? So let me know what you think, and share any thoughts. I like to get into conversations. So thank you for your time, and I hope you found this video useful.